Welcome. Go to Gem Games is finally back to show off the next version of Jared cards. Further stat balancing was done, just like the first one was. There are now 14 tracks instead of just 8. And there's still some new music, but most of it's the same. I haven't done that much more. I promise that will be something I'll be doing a lot more of the cleaning up and stuff for version 4. Some tracks that really needed updates, like Tricky Tempo, were fixed. And I think just in general it's a little more fun to play now than it was before. I still haven't got new characters yet or anything like that. But I guess I might as well show them off, shouldn't I? Suit All Cup. Let's do 150cc. I'm gonna go with my boy Luigi. First off is Jared Circuit. Take that. Well, that was, I don't know what I was doing there.
I'm Luigi, number 1.
As you can see, it's, not much has changed from version 2, because there honestly wasn't much to change in this one. It was kind of already close to right. This track, on the other hand, is a little different. And that is scrolling textures. I don't know why, although that looks okay right now. Sometimes when I'm playing different modes or whatever, or like as I play further, the textures for the scroll just gets a little misaligned and reversed sometimes, and I don't even understand why it does that. Of course, you might see that today, but maybe it won't happen. Right now it looks fine. Ooh, lightning. What an unusual amount of distance I got from the CPUs. It's usually pretty hard to break away in this one. Honestly, out of all my tracks, this one's one of the best ones when it comes to how good the pathing for the CPU drivers are. It's really clean on this one. Also, you notice the sky colors are, they work correctly now. In version 2, there would always be black at the horizon point underneath and all that. Now it's not. Also, these transparent textures work now, as you can see that too. Other than that, though, this track's pretty much the same as it was before. Ooh. Bit of a tricky turn on that. Into the Emerald Cave we go. One thing I'm a little angry about, there doesn't seem to be any way that I know of to affect the level of the rubber banding, aside from just turning it off completely. I wanted to have a compromise, and apparently Chaos Blast lets you do that. They changed the rubber banding by a certain amount. I want to know how to do that, but he ain't gonna tell me. So I don't know how I'm ever gonna get that.
I'm Luigi, number 1.
Because I don't like the way the rubber banding is currently, especially on higher CCs, where like you'll make one little mistake, and then next thing you know, the CPU just bursts 15 seconds ahead of you, and it's the dumbest thing ever. In fact, I thought they were supposed to slow down when they're in front of you instead of speeding up. It's weird, because like once they go far enough ahead of you, they start gaining speed like they're behind you, and it's so strange. I don't like that. More sweet scrolling textures. Oh yeah, these boosters, by the way. If you remember in version 2, they gave you more of a boost with using codes. Now they're actually slightly stronger than last time, so you can get even more speed than last time. And not only that, but I strengthened the boost for mushrooms and the start boost too are also a higher value than it was before. So now mushrooms, now they really feel like mushrooms. Because I always thought the mushrooms in this game were just so pitiful. You gain like hardly any speed like any other Mario Kart game, and now it feels like the others. Oh, I love these high-pitched voices. See ya, suckers!
Number 1.
I actually contemplated increasing the scale of this track slightly before this version release, but I'm like, I already spent so long in between versions, so I didn't want to make you guys wait any longer just to deal with rescaling everything for this track. but I might still do that. I was thinking about scaling it by about 20% or so. I feel like that's about enough, because I always keep feeling like this track could have just been slightly bigger. On X and Y, or X and Z axis, not Y axis, so that means I want to keep the vertical height the same. Which will actually make those turns less steep, which I think would help. But I think I'll do that for version 4 instead. Fortunately, this is probably one of the tracks that had the least amount of changes from the last version. Besides Jared's Circuit, I guess. Hardly anything changed in this one. Because we still don't have custom objects yet, which is what this half pipe is for. I assume he fixed the AI paths a little bit too, because you can see Yoshi there was going in the off-road section a bit. By the way, the booze, I didn't know this until Hamster pointed this out, but the booze don't actually give you any of your opponent's items in when you're racing against CPUs. In fact, what you get is completely random. Unlike when you play in Versus, where it actually does steal stuff from your opponent, because the CPUs, they don't actually hold items like you do. They just sort of periodically use items. It's pretty dumb. Honestly, if it were me making the game, I'd make it so that the computers use items like you do, where they hit a box, the RNG rolls for them, and then they have like a slot reserved for what item they're currently holding, so that stuff like the boo would actually work. And they can't use an item that isn't there anymore. That would be smart, but this game apparently took shortcuts. Okay, you might notice this with the music, but it sounds a little different, and I don't really know what I did wrong here. If you could tell, one of the main leads is like missing the second part of it, so it's not as complex of a beat. I have no fucking clue why this is happening. Honestly, I'm just as confused as you are when it comes to that. Because when I look at Sequence 64, it just says I'm using that instrument once, when I could have sworn I was using it twice, for two different channels that were playing that one instrument, but it's like one of them just like disappeared. It's really weird. Though then again, most of the songs in this game, by the end of production, are probably all going to be different, because I'm actually going to be much more heavily using custom instruments later on. So a lot of the music you hear in this build will probably be different in the actual final version. Which might be version 4, it might even be version 5. I don't know how many more iterations it's going to take. He hit the item box. Yeah! Damn it, Toad! I couldn't evade that. That's one thing that makes this track kind of mean, is that whenever you screw up near the end, you just can't catch up, you just lose. Like, you have to be very consistent on this track, or you just kind of fail the whole thing. Like, you fall off something, or you hit something, it's really hard to catch up on this track. I'd say this track is kind of deceptively hard. It's not that hard to go around the track, but, like, the game will not give you much of a chance to win once you've done something wrong. The CPUs will just refuse. You would just be like, you still have half the lap left, well, you're not making it. Oh my god, I'm about to lap somebody. Damn, Yoshi, how bad are you doing? What happened to you? You almost never lap people in this game. Not unless you're doing super shortcuts or something. What was that on the ceiling in that cave wall? Did you see that? Take that. I'm finishing first this time, suckers. I hope at some point Hamster figures out how to prevent the sky from doing that every time you finish a race. Because that's still a thing that happens. This track, structure-wise, is about the same, but this is probably one of the tracks that has a lot of changes visually due to new texture features being added. So one thing you will notice is that all of these roads have backsides that appear. Now, one thing I learned the hard way on Drifter Isle, and I'll get to that eventually, is that double-sided faces does make the backside visible, but it doesn't make the backside have collision. That's something I didn't know. It's just a visual, not actual collision. And I applied that to a few of these faces, and also the boost scrolls, just like all the other ones I did. Oh, and the double-sidedness, that's also on the blue path, too. Okay. That shortcut should be useful, but rubber banding makes it not that useful. I'm sure in Versus it's a nice shortcut. For my testing, it saves about a second to use the blue path. It saves about a second. Mario trying to get the win, huh? Not gonna happen, buddy. Crushing your asses. This track, on the other hand, has been significantly changed, actually. It has the same general layout for the most part, but a lot of things like which path is the main path is different on the inside part. And also, I had to expand the overall size of the track and also widen the gap between the outside portion and the inside portion to heavily reduce the amount of respawn glitches that this track would have. And now that I've done that, also this ramp is here, which is nice. Now you can't do the lap skip trick that you could before. That's not allowed anymore. And it's really hard to do a respawn glitch. There is still a way to do it on the bottom floor if you really jump out of your way, but it is not a useful skip at all, and it loses time, but it's not something you're going to be doing by accident. It's not going to happen on accident unless you're really terrible or something.
Here we go. Wow, 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 wow.
CPUs are being pretty mean on this one. I gotta place at least 4th or I am stuck. Also, that one CPU is sitting out there. He's been stuck there for a while, huh? Oh no! Yeah. I'm finishing 4th, baby.
Here we go.
Trigger Temple could still be a pain, but it is so much easier to traverse than it was before. That's another example of what I mean, though. If the rubber banding was weaker, I might have actually had a chance to catch up. But due to the track's design and how powerful the rubber banding is, it's designed in just the right way that it's really fucking hard to catch back up on Tricky Temple because they just don't let you. This track doesn't have... Well, okay, it does, but I'll get to that. This track is using default music, as you can hear. I had a version I made for this track, but it doesn't sound very good, and I'm actually working on a new version of the music for this one. And since I didn't finish that yet, and I didn't want to use the older one, you get some vanilla music here.
Here we go. 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 Here we go.
It's pretty rare to get a breakaway. On this track, it usually always ends up being a close race where you can get screwed over at the last second and then you just lose. Because everything's so tight and packed. But I actually got some distance on that. That's another track down, guys. Next is the Stun Arena. This is the longest track I've made so far. In fact, I actually had to... This one was a bit tough to keep the face count low. I ended up having to use a lot of culling for the renders in this one. Also, I really should update the CPU pathing in this one, because in this track in particular, it's a little shit. And you can notice by the minimap in some cases where they just kind of get stuck a lot. It's a good thing the boosters are working pretty well right now. But sometimes when you play the game, it will the texture will just get misaligned while it's scrolling for no reason. Or sometimes it will go backwards. Like, it will scroll the right way, but the texture will be reversed, and I don't know why that happens sometimes. But it seems like it's working normally for me now. That's not right. I should have jumped further than that. Don't tell me. Do I not have the... Do I not have my codes on? I need my codes on. Well, this is a bad showing then. Oh, crap. Okay, I'll show off a couple of tracks in that where it's important. Or where it's cool to see it. Once I get to that, I'll turn on the cheats again. Because I don't think they're on. Because there's 2 codes you're supposed to put in that makes boost stronger, and I don't think they're on. Because I'm pretty sure I remember when the code on, you jump further than that on the big ramp. Just to know for sure, let me see the speedometer. Okay. It's not on. God damn it. I thought I had the cheat turned on. Well, that's a big oops for me, guys. I didn't even have the codes on for the boost that you're kind of supposed to use for this game. I'm playing the game wrong. That also means Network Way will not be as cool as it's supposed to be with the boosters. But when I turn on the cheats, I'll show off, or I'll replay through Nitro Stadium, this track, and Network Way. Those are the 3 major tracks that have some real boosting going on. Ooh, I might actually reach the hex numbers, I think, with the points. I can't remember what happens if you go above 99. I think it goes to FF, I think? Or maybe it loops back down and then I'm screwed. I can't remember. Okay, this track... I've showed this track off before on the Discord, but since that time, I've made some changes. And this track is pretty neat. Item boxes... At one point, I did something wrong, and the item boxes were actually below the course, which is why I didn't see them. But I raised them back up. And, akin to, well, I actually wanted to be the first one to do this, but Amped Up beat me to the punch, and had Underwater before me. But hey, I'm doing it anyway. I wanted to have the underneath the arches to be shaded, but that would have been pretty that would have been annoying to do because I would have had to like add new verts to that area just to have the shadow there, and I did not want to mess with that because when you add new verts like that, you're gonna mess with the UV textures and it's just a mess. I don't want to do that. Ha! I've never actually been hit by a item box underwater. That's how it looks. It does that thing apparently. Also, the A paths, although they're not that bad, I need to fix up a couple curves because they like to bump into the sides of the boardwalks on those two boardwalk sections. Other than that, though, I think they're good. Also, it's more recommended to have the far camera, the far away camera for the underwater part. It makes it easier to see what you're doing. Isn't that cool, guys? You know, the see-through water. This track, I did start making a song for this one, but I never really got done with it. So here's a super unfitting music, because this is the slot I was going to replace the music for this track with. Also, these tubes, they're supposed to make you go a lot faster because of the codes, but since they're not on, they're not nearly as cool. But here's a cool thing. Look at how that pulsating light like goes through the tunnel. Honestly, that is one of my favorite looking. That's probably one of my favorite things I ever did in this game was these tunnels, because these are fucking badass. Look at this shit. Oh yeah, it looks so cool. There's so many more features I still want that I'm not sure if Hamster's new update in a couple months will have or not. One is finally getting the objects. 2, I want to be able to have more characters. And 3, I want to have like ambient sounds, because the normal game has that. Like audience cheering, waterfalls, and stuff like that. There's a few places I want to use that. And one of them are these tubes. I wanted these tubes to play a sort of futuristic-y kind of sound when you're near them. Man, those still look so cool. Don't ask me why, but if you drive down the tunnels in a certain way, instead of falling slowly like that, you'll just go down the slope, which is slightly faster. Yoshi got a little ambitious there. He ended up falling in the corner. Wow, how did I fall for that? This is actually another track where you can easily just stay you can just stay stuck behind everyone. Whoa, my points are blank. What the hell? This track has probably the most advanced stuff in it. This is probably the most complex design track in the game. There's translucency everywhere, there's some scrolling textures and shit. They have like everything. The face count's pretty high. Some Vertex shading down here and all that. It's kind of a intensive track. It's hard to see it when you're playing. It's something you notice when you sightsee, I guess. You don't really get a good shot at it if you're just driving and not trying to. And you're trying to be fast and optimal. You're not going to see it. But I'm pretty proud of it. There's a nice looking waterfall I made. Yep, real sharp turn, which is something that I decided, hey man, if there's gonna be some characters that are more turn-based than speed-based, we gotta give them a track where they can shine, and that's what this track essentially is. It actually makes it a lot easier for the turn characters to maintain their speed and get good times, instead of just always being the fast characters. Also, as you can tell, this track is still kind of in a rough state, because you can see the AI, they don't have no fucking clue what they're doing. Since I'm really far ahead, I actually might be able to sightsee just a little bit, because you guys are slow. Ah! Oh! That happened at the worst time. I need a new USB controller. This A button is getting so sticky, it's annoying me. There we go, there's a nice waterfall. Yes, I know there's that face up there. You can see it disappear and reappear. It's part of the cooling. You have to take short. You gotta make sacrifices sometimes. I have no idea how well this will run on console, seeing that the face count on this one's still pretty high, even with the cooling I set. There's only one more track, because I actually never made tracks 15 and 16 yet. So after the next track, I'm just going to do a reset. I'll be sure to activate the codes, and then I'll show off a couple more things. Then I guess I'll just leave you guys off, perhaps. Though I feel like, I don't know if I want to do this or not. Maybe not, probably not in this video, but maybe in another one. I feel like making a big video explaining a lot about the new discoveries I made about all the stats in the game, because I've gotten a better understanding of them all now. This is like supposed to be a little dungeon area. It's like a courtyard area. It doesn't look very good, but that grass texture is supposed to have flowers on it, but it looks like shit, so okay. As you can see, those barricade things from the museum are back. There's a secret item box right behind this bar. That's a Gemus statue. He's supposed to be my mascot character, but I haven't actually finished him yet, so I can't show him off yet, because I'm not done with him. But that's like a rough version, and of course I use stone textures. He doesn't actually look stony like that. He actually has his own textures normally. Gemus was actually planned to be one of the characters in this game. And yes, I know the instrument is like blurring the audio, and that's just I was never intending it to do that. It just does that for some reason. Well, we all know who won, so... Yeah, they were off. I knew it. Though, from what I can tell, there's probably going to be at least a couple months, or maybe a month or at least or so, where I won't really be making any updates to this probably. It'll Hamp's just going to take a long time. So I would have to what? Wait a few minutes. I'm still making a video. Okay, sorry about that. Mom was calling me down, probably for lunch or something. Okay, so I think I should have enough time to show off a couple of these. This time around, I guess I'll just be regular old Mario. Did you notice how powerful that start boost was? It's hard to tell because it's easy to mess up these turns, but you do gain a lot of speed from it. Powerful mushroom, going to 80. But yeah, that's a bit how that one works. Now let's do a track that's more interesting. I think Network Way will be the best one, so I'll save that till last. Strange. It seems like the textures are still working normally, I think. They're not messing up like they were earlier, so I guess that's a good thing. See there, you see you end up going further because of the extra speed. Another thing about version 3 I didn't mention is that a lot of the ads were made easier to read, for the most part. Especially on this track. More this track than Nitro Stadium. Here's where you get to really see the speed of the boosters in action. Also, the proportion of speed you get seems to be a little higher on higher CC. So on 150 CC, you actually go a little bit faster than this on the boosters. And on extra, I bet on extra you just flat out go above 100 there. I bet. Last thing though, before we end off, be sure to check the downloads link in the Overcart Discord if you want this. And also be sure to put these in, these two codes. You want those in the game, okay? I hope you guys enjoy version 3 of Jared Cards.